Hi, today we're going to look at the senses. Well, one sense, we're going to look at nociception, or you might say nociception, which is the sensory process by which the nervous system detects pain and sends it through its sensory receptors known as nociceptors, sends electrical signals to the brain, so that when you go to put your hand down, say on a hob that's very hot, immediately it sends signals to the brain. You quickly take your hand off. Some people, as in most things, can be hypersensitive or hyposensitive. So, a high pain threshold, a low pain threshold. I'm going to tell you a story about one of the children in one of my schools who it was uncertain what her pain threshold was. It was in the 90s, and the school minibus came into school, as it does in the mornings, to drop off the children. And dropping them off, one of the bus assistants said to me, "Oh, we've had an incident on the bus. The bus did a detour, and one of the boys with severely challenging behaviour and autism got out of his seat and started kicking around." Now, what they should have done is they should have, if they didn't know until that morning that there was a detour, then they should have stopped the bus somewhere and told the children that this is what had happened, particularly as the boy concerned wasn't strapped in securely into his seat on the bus and was able to get out and kick around at other people. Now, what he'd actually done is that he'd actually kicked this little girl in the legs. And the bus assistant, said to me that she was informing me, although she thought that the little girl was okay because she wasn't making any noises or anything, didn't seem stressed. So she was just letting me know. Well, of course, for me, that wasn't good enough. And I contacted the parents immediately and asked if they would take her to hospital to get her checked out. The parents were very keen to do that, obviously, to make sure that she was okay. And she went down to the hospital, and she was there for a fair amount of time, unfortunately. But they did phone me later in the afternoon to say that her leg was fractured in 3 places. Now, she hadn't shown in all the time that she was at the hospital that she was in a lot of pain, which is very worrying, really, isn't it? When, a child in your care may be in pain and you don't even know it. It's very sad, very worrying. But relief of pain is obviously very important. And we've introduced over the years in the different schools I've been working in, different therapies to try and alleviate things like that. Things like pain, and to try and in some other instances, it would be to put them in the right frame of mind to be able to take part in what was going on in school. Some children might have music therapy, some children might have hydrotherapy, depending on what their needs were. So, like I say, we provided over 25 actually. But anyway, one of the most successful ones, certainly for pain, we found was vibroacoustic therapy. Now, when the girl could come back to school, she could have some vibroacoustic therapy to alleviate any tensions that she may still have when she came back to school. Vibroacoustic therapy is a very, very good therapy. Hydrotherapy is another very good therapy that gives children who are in wheelchairs all day, as they can be in wheelchairs all day, I should say, rather than are, it gives them some respite. So to take them out and to let them move about in a hydrotherapy pool is wonderful. To let them lie down on a vibroacoustic bed where you feel the vibrations, you don't hear them. You can have headphones on to listen to music at the same time if you want. You can, as in our school, they could activate different light systems and so on in the room while they were receiving this vibroacoustic therapy. And why I'm also mentioning this is not just because I believe that these kind of therapeutic interventions should be in every special school and should be made available in mainstream schools now that so many neurodivergent children are actually in mainstream. You raise funds for these, okay? That's what I had to do, and you raise funds, and you know, a lot of my spare time was taken up in doing fundraising, and I was very lucky to have staff who wanted to fundraise as well. And a great governing body and a fantastic parents who also fundraised. And so we were able to bring in these therapeutic interventions that were of benefit to the students in the school and also to the adults who came in the evening, because I opened it in the evening for adults with learning difficulties and disabilities, because they'd never had the opportunity that our school was giving our students. And as well as that, what I was hoping for is that in years to come, when our students became adults, as they were, they would be able to come back to a familiar place, the school that they'd been in when they were young, and they'd be able to carry on receiving these therapies in the evening. Anyway, that's by the by. That is what I would want for all schools, special schools, is for them to be used in constant use for both students during the day and adults at night. And I must apologise while I'm thinking about that. I keep saying and I'm very sorry. It seems to be a nervous tick of mine. Anyway, let's get back on with it. So the other thing I wanted to say about vibroacoustic therapy, hydrotherapy, and all these fantastic therapies that should be made available, I believe not only should they be in every special school and available in schools if heads and so on have children who've got these disabilities or learning difficulties and so on, and these therapies would help them. But I also believe as well that care homes should have them. Now, why am I saying that? Well, my sister had well, she's had a couple of strokes actually, but anyway, she had a very severe stroke that left her paralyzed down one side and in a lot of pain. And she also developed epilepsy. She's had more strokes since then. And she is, like I say, now in a care home. She wasn't when she first had the stroke, she is now. She has got, well, in the past they would have said a withered hand or something, but it's not. It's a hand that she keeps like this all the time, and it needs physio and it needs massaging out. But because they don't have regular physiotherapy there, she doesn't get that kind of therapy treatment. Now, I would say that these care homes should have vibroacoustic facilities to relieve the pain, because obviously she's sometimes in pain as well. She still has epileptic seizures. They also should have access to hydrotherapy pools, because hydrotherapy pools will allow them, she's bedridden, because she's paralyzed down the one side. But if she had access to a vibroacoustic bed, to a hydrotherapy pool, certainly in a hydrotherapy pool, she'd even get the opportunity to move about. Now, why, when these care homes make such a huge amount of money, haven't the people who run them decided to spend some of that money on these kind of facilities? Honestly, it's beyond reason with me. Why isn't that happening? I don't know. Anyway, let me know below what you think is happening, what you think should happen, and whether you know of any good examples that you would want to share with other people, so they can think when they're having to choose somewhere for their child to go to school, which schools provide these things. And if you've got a relative who has to go to a care home, what care homes provide these facilities? It's all well and good for some people to say, oh, the care home's providing music in the evening, somebody comes along and plays some music on the piano, or that they can go out to the theatre, or they can do this, or they can do that. What about those who need these other facilities? Why aren't they on offer? Why aren't they happening? That's what I would like to know. And if you know the answer, then please put your answer, put your comments below. And if you want to know more about therapeutic interventions and technological innovations and so on, subscribe to my channel and you'll be able to find out more. Access to therapy matters. If you know of a school or care setting that offers hydrotherapy, please let others know in the comments. Thank you for listening.